Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with garlic bread burger buns. That's right, do not let this beautiful picture fool you. This batch of garlic bread buns did not work. But as the old saying goes, if at first you don't succeed, eat a burger and then try again, which is what I did, and the second attempt didn't work either. But all's well that ends well. And if by some miracle you actually make it to the end of this video, you will see what we finally figured out. And it really was amazing. So with that, let's go ahead and get started by making some garlic butter, which is done by mixing butter with garlic. And then besides those two obvious main ingredients, we will also do some finely and freshly chopped parsley, some grated Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, a nice big pinch of salt, and then last but not least, exactly 3 shakes of cayenne. And that's it. We'll take a spoon and give this a mix. And once mixed, we'll simply set that aside until we need it. Oh, and do not refrigerate this. We want to keep it nice and soft and spreadable. Okay, so our garlic butter is set. And then the other thing we'll need, which I will provide a link to, is 1 batch of our famous hamburger bun dough, which after mixing up and letting rise for about an hour and a half, should look like this. And when we stick our fingers in, it kind of collapses and does not fill back in. And what we'll do is transfer that dough onto our work surface, and we will press the air out with our hands, or as we call it in the business, degas. And once we have that flattened and into some kind of uniform shape, we will take our bench scraper and we will divide that into 8 portions, at which point, as usual, we'll take each of those portions and we will roll it back into a nice neat ball of dough. And the best way to do that is to dust it with a little bit of flour, and then we just cup our hand over it and then just roll it around on the table in a circular motion, which as you can see will produce a nicely uniform, smooth-skinned ball of dough, which at this point is all we're after. So I went ahead and did that to all 8, transferring those onto a Silpat line baking sheet. And then normally we would just flatten these out a little bit, and then let them proof before baking them into the most beautiful hamburger buns you've ever seen. But not this time, because I was trying to do a thing. So I grabbed that first one and proceeded to roll it out into a circle about 1/8 of an inch thick. And once that was accomplished, as you will see, I went ahead and spread it with my garlic butter, at which point I wanted to try to shape it like a little short video I had seen online. And I forget if it was a YouTube short or something from TikTok. Okay, I do remember the screen was the wrong shape, up and down, which us older folks are not fans of. But anyway, what they did was cover a circle of dough with cheese, and then they rolled it up in a very unique and interesting way, which basically created layers of dough and cheese in their finished bun. And I thought to myself, hey, I bet that would work perfect for making garlic bread burger buns. And what they did was make a cut like this from the center all the way to the edge, and then they started rolling from the outside, and they kept rolling. And as long as that center point stays centered, and you're rolling around the outside, around the outside, around the outside, when we're finished, we're going to end up with something shaped like a cone. And by rolling it up like this, we are creating layers of dough separated by garlic butter that I assume would bake up into the garlicky burger bun of our dreams. And once we have produced this cone of dough, we'll go ahead and pinch those seams together, right all along the edge, and of course across the bottom, where you can see we've created multiple layers. And then once those edges have been pressed together, to finish the shaping, we will set it down on the large end, and then we'll kind of twist it and keep twisting it as we push it down until eventually we have it sort of wound up and flattened out, which looks kind of cool, but definitely the wrong shape for a hamburger bun. So at this point I dusted it with some flour, underneath and on top, and then I took my rolling pin and flattened it out into roughly the same shape I'd do if I was doing a regular burger bun. And once I finished, I noticed it kind of tore open a little bit, and I wasn't sure if butter was going to leak, so I dampened a couple fingertips and pinched that dough together, and then continued to shape it with my hands until I eventually got it into the shape I wanted. And then I did the exact same thing to the other 7. And at this point, I thought things were going very well. And I was very excited with how these were going to come out. So I went ahead and covered those with a towel. And I let those proof for about 45 minutes, which we almost always do before we bake rolls or buns. And they don't need to really double in size, but they're definitely going to puff up. And about 45 minutes later, mine looked like this. And then before burger buns go in the oven, we almost always want to paint them with an egg wash, which is an egg beaten with a couple teaspoons of water. And once I had that brushed over, I decided to do one optional step, which was to grate some Parmesan over the top because I thought it would look nice. But also, if we bring these to a party, that way people can tell these from the regular hamburger buns. Okay, believe it or not, there are some freaks of nature who do not like garlic. Oh yeah, there's a few out there. So I went ahead and grated over some of that. At which point these were ready to pop into the center of a 375-degree oven for about 25 minutes, or until they look like this. Oh yeah, I thought these were really beautiful. Although they were visually, what's the right word? Diverse. Okay, somehow I managed to get all 8 looking completely different. But that kind of thing usually doesn't bother me. And they appeared to have baked up quite nicely. So I went ahead and transferred those from the pan to the cooling rack. And I let those cool down to room temp before grabbing one of the worst looking ones so I could cut in to see what was going on. And I'm going to go ahead and give you the good news before I get to the bad news, since there was definitely some bad news. But the good news was we definitely had created some layers with that garlic butter sandwich between the dough. Right, not a ton of them, but they were definitely noticeable. So that rolling the dough technique definitely created what we officially call lamination. And I did actually think the texture was pretty good. Okay, we did add a fair amount of extra butter to a dough that's already pretty rich, and I thought we got away with it. So that part was fine. And as far as the taste went, these were absolutely fabulous. And they did, in fact, not surprisingly, taste like garlic bread. So the appearance of this cross-section is a little misleading. All right, it doesn't look like much is going on, but these really were very flavorful. And like I said, I did enjoy the texture, which I would describe as like 95% hamburger bun and 5% croissant. But the bad news is you can probably see that top layer of brown crust is separating from the rest of the bun. All right, there was obviously a thin layer of butter right underneath that. And as it baked, that separation was just too close to the surface. So as we eat these, that beautiful brown crust kind of flakes off, which is not what I want in a hamburger bun. All right, they are not supposed to be annoying. So sadly, I didn't think these were going to work. But of course, I had to be sure. So I tried another one with a burger sandwiched in between. And I literally ate my feelings. And the burger was amazing. And I really enjoyed the flavor of the garlic bread with the burger. But I really couldn't enjoy myself fully, since I spent most of the time trying to keep that crust on the bun. So as I finished eating this, I started scheming, since as you know, we never let the food win. And I decided to try another approach with another batch, which I started off the exact same way, by spreading with a spoon of that amazing garlic butter. Only this time, instead of the old tic-tac cone method, I used this much simpler fold. All right, first getting it into a square, and then folding those corners in to get it into sort of a rounder shape, which was probably a little faster and simpler, but I was fairly confident, because we were going to have a thicker layer of dough, that it would eliminate the problem of that crust peeling off the top. And by the way, I'll mention it one more time. We're using our famous hamburger bun recipe, which is absolutely foolproof, and one of the best feeling doughs you will ever handle, which is probably why I'm touching this one so much. So I went ahead and finished shaping and flattening that, and then did one more to make 2, and then I let them proof, and egg washed them and cheesed them the same way. And I baked those at 375 for the same amount of time. And just like the first batch, they came out looking different and kind of weird, but also beautiful. But anyway, I let those cool, and then I grabbed one and sliced it open, hoping for a much better outcome. Oh, and if there's any kids watching, please turn away. This is not how you safely cut open a hamburger bun. But anyway, I split that open, and the bottom half of the bun seemed to be fine. But inexplicably and unbelievably, the top of the bun was worse. Oh my goodness, look at that. Okay, you know what a burger bun is not supposed to remind you of? The movie Face Off. So yes, method 2 did not work. And I was just about to be the Nicolas Cage of flying into a rage. But I didn't, because that's when I had the epiphany. Yes, my friends, it hit me like a lightning bolt. Why was I spending all this time and effort trying to make a garlic bread burger bun when we already have the technology for turning burger buns into garlic bread? So I simply made a regular batch of buns and split one open and spread that garlic butter over the surface of both sides. And once that was set, I baked it at 400 degrees for about 7 to 10 minutes, or until it looked like this. And then I didn't even have to wait for it to cool. Okay, I transferred that right to a plate, and I topped it with a burger, to really make sure it's going to work. And I garnished that like a true burger aficionado with a generous squirt of ketchup. And that, my friends, is actually how we're supposed to enjoy a garlic bread burger. And I went ahead and enjoyed the heck out of that, knowing I'd finally cracked the code. And was I upset that I wasted all that time and effort to make a garlic bread burger bun? Well, unofficially, yes, of course. But officially, absolutely not. Okay, if we don't try new things in the kitchen, then none of the things in the kitchen will be new. So trying and failing is fine. Not trying is not fine. Which, if there's any moral to this story, that is it. So I am not going to be able to finish the video by telling you that I really do hope you give these garlic bread burger buns a try soon, since they did not work. But spreading that garlic butter on a regular bun totally worked. And if you did want to make our original burger buns, please follow the links below for all the ingredient amounts, a printable written recipe, and much more info as usual. And as always,